This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian.
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
This is the SuperBeast, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James J., and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with Super Beast.
The SuperBeast.
The Super Beast. Apologies.
No worries. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm good. It's my rest day. I'm trying to recover. I train a lot Monday through Friday, and I normally take Saturday and Sunday just to rest and catch up on sleep.
Hey, everybody needs a rest day. Definitely.
Yeah.
What do you got coming up next, event-wise?
March 1st, I'm doing a AAA house show in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And then following that, March 8th, I'm in BCW, Texas. And after that, I may or may not be at AEW March 15th in Las Vegas. And then I got a couple weeks off, and then my next show is April 3rd in Lawton, Oklahoma for my company, Dark Arts Entertainment. April 5th, it's our sister company, BCW, in Guthrie, Oklahoma. And I think after that, I got a few weeks off, but it doesn't really start getting busy till May. May 3rd, I got a Lucha Extreme in Ohio. Then the 10th, I believe we're in Santa Maria for Best of the West. May 11th, I got another Dark Arts show, which is my show in my hometown, Sacramento, California. Then the 13th, I'm flying to Germany. I'm going to hang out with my brother, but I'm also hitting a WW show in Austria. And I may or may not be going to Alaska at the end of May on the 29th and 30th with Lucha Extreme. I'm still waiting to hear back.
It sounds like your schedule is pretty packed right now.
Normally is when I'm not injured.
Well, right now, you're coaching the talent at AAA, correct?
The kids who work at the AAA house shows out of Puerto Vallarta. I am, yes. Also, in July, it looks like I'll be traveling to the Philippines for an extended amount of time to coach some wrestlers and fighters there as well.
Is that for Puto Pro Wrestling?
Oh, no, this is for just a local pro wrestling. I don't know which company. My buddy Maverick started his own company.
Okay.
And it's WW, under the WW umbrella, which World Underground Wrestling. It comes out of Japan. Like Fugo runs it, and I'm still currently the World Warrior Champion.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're like 19,000 days as champion?
It's something ridiculous. I won the title, I believe, in 2019, and I have not lost it since because it's a shoot style. I don't remember the exact date that I won it, but it's a shoot style title. It's not so much a pro wrestling one. And no one's really been able to kick my ass. And I've defended it in Japan a few times. I've defended it in the Philippines, Mexico, America, Hawaii. And I think that's it. Soon to be Austria.
Well, eat your heart out, Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns makes a lot more money than me.
But but you held the championship longer.
Yeah.
But going back to coaching, what has that experience like been for you to coach the wrestlers in AAA? Compared to how you've been trained.
Well, these are AAA house show kids. Like, these are just the locals in this region of where I'm at. Like, it's not like mainstream. They're AAA, like headquarters, like TV. They do their own thing.
Okay.
But we do their house shows in this region, and I help prep their kids to get ready, and not just lucha libre, but American style and other styles, mainly to get them into America and other countries and learn other styles. Because if you live in Mexico, you know lucha libre. If you live in America, you know pro wrestling. You live in Japan, you know Japanese strong style. You're in the Philippines, you know a technical style, and they're all different. And if you take a lucha guy who doesn't know American style and you put him out in America, he's lost. You bring an American down here to, Mexico, and he doesn't know lucha libre, he gets lost really, because it's all different.
Right.
It's not the same rules. It's not the same psychology. It's not the same setup. That's all different. Everything's different. And it doesn't take long to get exposed if you don't know what you're doing.
Well, I mean, you have the distinct honor of wrestling in the three big countries that pro wrestling's known for: America, Japan, and Mexico. What are some of the differences you feel that is between the three, and which one have you preferred to wrestle?
The difference, obviously, is speed, psychology, and pace is what I would say. America, they move at a slower pace. It's more theatrical. They work the crowd more, and things of that nature. Lucha Libre, it's a faster pace. It's just go, 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 constantly running. You have to have really good cardio, and you got to be ready to go. The Japanese strong style, it's like you got to be able to work to the left and to the right. In America, they work the left side of the body. You take a hold, it's to the left. You do anything, it's always to the left. It's just a tradition of American wrestling. Here in Mexico, they work to the right, which is completely backwards in America. And then in Japan, they go to the left and to the right. So you need to be well versed in both, and you have to be okay with getting hit in Japan, because it's hard style. They crack each other pretty good. It's very snug, very, it's not so much of a work or a leg clap. In America, it could be a work. In Mexico, they might slap a leg. In Japan, they just crack you in the face. And so you have to be comfortable, familiar, and prepared for all of it. Now, my personal preference is Mexico. I just love working the Mexico style, just with guys that are good. I could get in with dudes like Mecha Wolf or Ricky Banderas, Alberto Del Rio, Dos Caras. Those are like the guys. I just have great matches with them. Hopefully, I think I might have some stuff with Sam Adonis coming up. If everything works out right, because he's the most hated heel in Mexico, and I'm one of the most loved heel. I'm a heel in Mexico, but I'm a heel that all the Mexicans love. They love me. I've been adopted by the country.
What does that kind of mean to you, to kind of be taken in by Mexico?
Oh, it meant a lot. They just did. Hard work pays off. And plus, by my nationality, I'm only second generation born in America. My family comes from Mexico, and I'm half Mexican, so it kind of takes me to my cultural roots, and that just has a lot to do with it. It's just, I've been here long enough, I've paid my dues, and it's, as far as the luchadors are concerned, the promoters, I'm Mexican, even though my Spanish isn't that fluent, and I'm somewhat a brown-skinned man, but I'm not, Hispanic brown. But as far as they're concerned, I'm one of the Mexicans.
Well, you mentioned Mecha Wolf. You have been in the ring with La Rebellion, Bestie 666 and Mecha Wolf.
Oh yeah.
What was that match like?
It was amazing. It was a good match, but it goes deeper than that, because you got to understand, me and Mecha Wolf he's my brother. We lived together for a long time. We traveled together. We went on the road together. We still talk almost daily. If he's my boy. It's being in the ring with him is cool, but we've been in the ring all across America, all across Mexico. We work out together, not just in the ring, but in the gym. We fly together, we drive together, and we go to concerts together. He started a band called Monster Wolf, which is a horror punk band, and I'm in the band. We're in a band together, so we're intertwined extremely. And then the other person I'm really intertwined with would be Ricky Banderas. He's one of the top champs right now at AAA, or Mil Mortis from Lucha Underground. He's basically my big brother, who's helped guide me. Him and Alberto Del Rio have really took me under their wing, and he kept me close, in the business, and just kept the snakes away and helped keep me high, made sure I was taken care of and looked after and treated right.
Obviously having such, a connection with Mecha Wolf, do you prefer wrestling him or teaming with him?
Both. We were a tag team. We've had feuds together, but we're also the Dark Arts Tag Team Champions. And Dark Arts Entertainment, that's my company that I run. I'm also a promoter.
And you mentioned Monster Wolf. Correct?
That's the band.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you did some type of event for Netflix?
The Netflix thing I did wasn't the Monster Wolf one. That was some other stuff.
Okay.
That was like, I did, we just had like a security thing. We work with Netflix. But, the Monster Wolf thing, we go on tour. Like, we would go with Doyle from the Misfits, or Alex Story from Cancer Slug, some of the top, punk rock legends in current day. I'm sure you've heard of the Misfits.
Yes.
And they have their guitarist, who's like that huge jack dude named Doyle, who went off to start his own band. And that's a really good friend of ours. We've opened up for him in America and in Mexico. And their lead singer, Alex Story, which he's also has the band Cancer Slug, which those are our people, and we're just an entertainment, whether it be pro wrestling or music, we're in the entertainment industry together, me and Mecha Wolf.
And when it comes to Monster Wolf, you do wear a gigantic wolf mask, no?
Yes, I'm the giant werewolf. Like, it's an automated werewolf mask with the teeth that open, and I get dressed up. I have claws and like a furry cape thing to make me more animalistic. Due to my shape and my size, like I'm 6'1", I'm 265 pounds, and I'm ripped. Most people confuse me for a bodybuilder, but I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm an output athlete. I'm really strong. I'm really fast. I have a lot of conditioning. I can run fast and jump high. So I am built like a werewolf.
All right. Well, can you tell us about the explosive bats and barbed wire explosive boards death match that involved
Yeah.
the hardcore godfather Onita?
Yeah, I had a Japanese landmine death match. We were in Kawasaki, Japan. I believe this was in 2023,
Yes.
I believe. I had the January 2023. And I tag teamed with Leatherface, Chainsaw Tony, who's another one of my good buddies. And we went against, Onita and his group of guys. And, the barbed wire, the explosions, and the fire. But I'm one of a handful of Americans, or a handful of foreigners, I should say, that's ever actually hit Onita with an exploding bat. And that's, it's one of probably, in my mind, when it comes to pro wrestling, like I've been to a few Triple Manias, and I've worked for some top companies, but I would say like right now, at this moment, the pinnacle of my wrestling career was that match when I was able to hit Onita with an exploding baseball bat.
I mean, I could imagine, yeah, that's definitely a big moment.
But you got to understand, like, this is in Japan. Like, in America, they don't, they have safety laws, and and I mean, most explosions are more theatrics. In Japan, it's that's real boom booms, real bangs. I don't know. I mean, I'm not an explosive expert, but I know when I hit him with the thing and it went off, like it, exploded. His shirt caught on fire. It spun around. Like I burned half the hair off my body, and I felt the blast. And I was almost concussed, like from the blast.
Damn.
It was like a real. I'm also a combat veteran, so it was almost like having flashbacks of the war, getting IED'd. Like it was, I was literally in a flash of fire. My whole that from that bat. Once it hit, it went off like fire. Everything just went right over my body. My mask was singed. My body hair was pretty much gone. My skin was red, from the burns. Like not deep skin burns, but the sting of being burned. You definitely felt it. It was absolutely crazy. It was at Japan, and Japan's into all that crazy stuff. It was a huge crowd. It was in Kawasaki, Japan. It was mixed with music. It was a 7-hour show that started at midnight, and that match was the main event. And I don't even think we went on until about 6:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, it was taxing, but it was definitely like one of the biggest, it was the biggest moment in my wrestling career. It was so big that when I talked to Sabu, because Sabu's one of my buddies, we were sitting around, smoking some pot, shooting the shit, and it got brought up, and Sabu even said that's something he's always wanted to do. We're talking about an ECW legend, a hardcore legend, an FMW legend, and he never even had the chance to hit Onita with an exploding baseball bat. Like Terry Funk did, a couple Japanese guys did, and the SuperBeast did.
That's really awesome.
It was great.
When did you find out that you was going to be in the ring with Onita, and what was your reaction to that?
Well, I had been to Japan a few times, and I'd met Chainsaw Tony, Leatherface, and he's Onita's right-hand man, basically. We trained together, whatnot. And I had met Onita at just, what was it, like WrestleCon and, things like that. And, I'd be there with Low Rebellion. And because I was part of the Rebellion, the Black Low Rebellion with Mecha and Bestia. I was in the squad before it broke up. But we would sit at the merch table, and just by chance and fortune, they put Onita and Leatherface right next to us. Onita and Damien 666, they're buddies. Me and Leatherface are great buddies. We just sat down talking. I'd go to Japan. If you'd met Onita a few times, and one day my phone rang, Tony called and said, hey, Onita's asking about you. He wants to have a Japanese landmine death match, and he wants to have it with you. And so me being me, I'm not an idiot. I was absolutely, when, time and place, I'll be there. They shot me the date. They got me my tickets, they flew me out. They took care of me, put me up, paid me my money. And then, I became an overnight sensation in Japan pretty quick.
And I mean, what did it kind of mean to you for, Onita to say, yeah, I want to be in the ring with him?
It was bigger than life. I mean, yep. I'd seen all of Tony's stuff from his Japanese landmine death matches he was doing. Like, I'd been watching it for years. To me, it's crazy. Like, I was like, I'll do it if ever came down to it, but I'm not a, what do you call it? I'm not a death match guy. You know what I mean? I've done a few, like a few Lucha Extremo matches. I had a thing with Schleck at Bloodsport, leading up to that, but it was, it was bigger. It was surreal, because it's like anything. Like when you grow up watching a lot of these guys on TV, and you're a fan, and these dudes are your idols, and then you fast forward time 20 years. Now all these guys. They're your friends, and you're on a first name basis. And the stuff I used to watch online or, watch on DVD, I was like, man, that's crazy. I'm literally standing in a ring surrounded by a bunch of Japanese people in Japan holding a bat that's rigged to explode. Like, oh my God, I'm really like, to go from the one side of the spectrum of being on the outside, literally to the center, of what's going on. It was it's mind blowing. It's hard to, it's surreal. It's unbelievable. It's almost like you're having a dream. It's not real, but it's real.
Now, being in Japan, I do have to ask, what was you eating in Japan?
Well, for the most part, I didn't like the food because I'm not a big shellfish guy. I don't like fried food. I don't like calamari or octopus or things like that. I don't like eating things that are alive. I mean, I like nigiri, so I was eating nigiri and I would eat steak, but after about, over a month of that, I get burnt out. So I got to the point where I was eating like once a day or once every other day. And also, you don't drive anywhere in Japan. You walk. You catch the train, and we're dragging our bags around. So to walk 50 miles a day, 20 miles a day, it's not unheard of. And we're still going to the gym lifting weights, and we're still wrestling almost daily. So like I like the wrestling of Japan, the wrestling, being a wrestler in Japan. I like the wrestling scene in Japan. I like to go see the sights, but I wasn't a fan of the food. Steak was great. Like Mr. Danger's steak was great. I went to Ribera, ate the Ribera steak. I got my Ribera jacket. Did the whole traditional wrestler thing. But I mean, you can only live on steak so long before you're just burnt out.
So not seeking out ramen.
No, I had ramen too, but it's like I just, being a body guy, I try not to eat too many pastas or carbohydrates because I have to maintain a certain look.
I gotcha.
I'm the SuperBeast look. I'm supposed to be really big, jacked, and scary.
Well, you, speaking about, hitting Anita with an exploding baseball bat, that is a good segue into my next question, and that is, can you tell us about Lilith?
Lilith, my bat?
Yes.
Oh, you know about that.
Mm-hmm.
You did some homework on me.
I do my research.
You definitely did your research. Lilith belonged to my first coach. His name was Chris Scott, also known as, Chris Carnage. He was a deathmatch wrestler. He's a big dude, 400-plus pound guy, just a monster. And if it wasn't for him, I never would have been a pro wrestler. I met him when I was in the Army. I worked at a nightclub, and I did security. He did security, too. And we became friends, and I found out he was a wrestler. We would make small talk, and he taught me my first collar and elbow, if that's what it was called then. Now they call it a walk-up. Names change. But he carried a bat with him, his deathmatch bat, called Lilith. This Louisville slugger wrapped in barbed wire. He'd break people's foreheads with it. And, it was his mistress. It was his thing. It was his gimmick. It was his number one weapon of choice for hardcore death matches. And long story short, Chris, and we always talked, good times. Like he was with me through a lot of dark times on the phone, like after I got out of the Army, and we were always there for each other, not just as a coach student, but we were brothers, we were really tight. And one time this time came, he had to go get a surgery. I forget what the surgery was even for, but he had to go under. He wasn't feeling too good. He was like a 400-pound guy. He was a heavy-set dude. He'd call me like, hey, just check going into surgery. Anything happens, check on my family. Same deal like just any of us would. And he went into surgery. And then his son Lawrence called me about 3 a.m, and said, my dad's dead. My dad had died during the surgery. And I had called his wife, Cassandra, who's, I love her to death. She's like my sister. She still lives in Oklahoma. Lawrence lives in Oklahoma. And just, it's just a real touchy, personal, to lose someone who you're close with. And, not just in the business, but in life, I was going through some hard times, back where I would want to take my own life, and this guy was calling and keeping me alive, with his words and his love. And then knowing that he passed, it really hurts. And then one of the last times I wrestled in Oklahoma, because she's always come out and supported it, but she brought Lilith's bat and gave it to me. They think he would want you to have this, and I still have it. It's on a mantle in my living room. It still has, back in America, it's on a mantle in my living room. It still has his blood on it. And I have his ashes. And, it's just one of those real close things. It's just something I look at every day. And I remember if it wasn't for, there never would have been a SuperBeast. My life never would have been what it was without that man. You know what I mean? He literally changed my life and gave me a better life without knowing that he gave me a better life. And I'll never be able to thank him for it, because after he died, I went to Japan once. He saw the first trip, but everything after he passed, like all the big stuff, when it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, he wasn't around to see it. And that's one of those things that breaks my heart. Like me having a Japanese landmine death match, things that he used to absolutely love and he was obsessed with, or being able to do some type of work with NWA, or being down in Mexico and blowing up like I did, or going to Manila, killing it in the Philippines. Like, these were things, that my guy just wasn't around to see me do, and it's one of those things that breaks my heart, because I wish he was still here with me. And yeah, I have Lilith, I have his weapon, and that's something I hold dear.
Do you think we'll be seeing you bring out Lilith for a match?
If I ever get called for a death match, absolutely.
Oh yeah. And
I haven't done a death match since the Japanese landmine death match, and ever since I was given Lilith, like I had the opportunity. It's like, hey, do you want to come do a death match? I haven't received that call, but if I did, that would absolutely, I'm slinging that bat to my back. I'm going in, and I'm going to get blood all over it. My blood, that guy's blood, the world's blood, for all I care.
Hell yeah. And I'm obviously sorry for your loss as well.
Thank you.
Now, my next question is, you were a part of the top 500 Hispanic / Latino wrestlers in 2024. You even broke the 100 mark. You were number 80.
I think it goes like 81, or it was 80, 81. Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
What does something like that mean to you?
It's cool. In Mexico, it means a lot. In America, the American wrestling scene, for the most part, pretends I don't exist. They don't acknowledge my accomplishments, or I'm not a super, I'm not, how do I word it? Most wrestlers, they're really bright, and, they're baby faces, and wear bright colors and clean, it's just, and I'm just a masked monster. You know what I mean? And that's really not the style right now. And plus, I'm on the older side. In Mexico, it meant a lot. To me, it was a personal accomplishment. It made me feel good. You know what I mean? I felt good about that. But then, at the same time, it's one of those things where I could accomplish things, and I could fly back to my home country. And my small circle of friends care. People who don't really know me care. But as a whole, like, some of the mid-grade companies that I've never worked for probably never would, because I've already bypassed that. I kind of went from, I got trained up to the low-level indies, and all of a sudden, I couldn't ever get to the mid-grade, upper end. I just wasn't buddy, or I wasn't, I wasn't kissing enough ass, or telling enough lies, or whatever it was. I wasn't clicking up. I'm in the business for business. I'm not in the business to, that whole brotherhood thing, because it's fake. It's all fake. Half these guys are going to cut your throat anyway. They all want you to do good, but they don't want to see you do better. Especially places like Northern California, places like, most in Las Vegas. Not all of them, but the majority of the workers, the wrestlers, they don't want to do it. Plus, the promoters don't want to pay you, and they don't care. They're like, hey, I was in the top, whatever. You weren't in the WWE, so it doesn't matter. That's just kind of how it's viewed. Whereas down here in Mexico, I'm one of the top names in the country. I go to Japan, I'm still a top name over there. I go to the Philippines, I'm a top name over there. It was cool that I made it, but I just wish I got the acknowledgement that came with it across the board. That's more of what I've liked to had,
I gotcha.
Or would have rather had it. I would have wished I had the acknowledgement that's supposed to come with it. because there were people who made, number 300 and something, and those people are blessed. Oh, they made it. Top 500. He was at 387, and that's all they want to talk about. Or so-and-so, they finally made it to Japan. And I'm like, yeah, I've been there like 8 times. It's cool you went there and worked for a bunch of small companies, maybe did one New Japan show or a Noah, but it's like you weren't main eventing FMWs. You weren't out there doing like the huge real ones. I did, or going to Triple Mania, and we're doing a AAA. It's so I'm gonna go to Mexico, do a small show in somewhere in Mexico, and they're applauded and adored and loved. And I'm out here working with the best of the best, every legend, every name, everyone who's a somebody. I'm in that circle, and I go back, and it's looked over, it's looked past like it didn't happen or it just doesn't exist. And I look at that, and it's like, okay, or I could go do a seminar in Mexico, I could have 30, 40 kids show up. Or if I run a seminar in America, for the most part, like, no one will come. They're just like, well, you've never done anything. It's like, well, I've done more than you. I've done more than your coaches. I've done more than this entire locker room combined. But we'll pretend like I've never done anything. So that's fine. Stay where you're at. Work your 200-mile radius. I got a planet to travel around.
It is odd, like, on the independent level, at least. It does seem like there is, like, a divide in independent wrestling. There's the mainstream independent wrestling, and then there's the underground of independent wrestling.
There's that, and then there's the guys that make money and the guys that don't make money. Some dudes, it's like fame and fortune don't always go hand in hand, and a lot of most people, they want to be known, they want to be famous, and I get that. We all do, but the problem is most of the wrestlers that are known, they could work for, a TNA or just I'm not trying to bury anybody or talk any shit, but they could, they could be the next big thing, but they're not getting paid. They're flying themselves out. They're making less than $200 to wrestle. And then in a year or two, they're forgotten, they quit, or nobody cares about them anymore. And me, I was I didn't really care about being famous. I wanted to make money, but if I was going to make accomplishments, acknowledge the fact that I did it. It's like going and get a college degree, and they still call you an idiot. And I do have college degrees, and they still talk to me like I'm an idiot. There's even some regions, I even say at Las Vegas, like there's one of the companies there, they're not even a company, it's a school that runs student shows, and it's almost part of their protocol. It's like, don't talk to that guy. He's a delusional vet. He doesn't know anything. So there's generations of these kids that get raised that just don't talk to that guy. In Las Vegas, I don't know anything. And these kids end up working 5, 6, 7 years for this one company. They don't get paid. They work every weekend for this same company or the same local shows. They don't get paid. They might draw, anywhere from 20 to 80 people, and by the time 7, 8 years goes by, their bodies are getting shot, and their time and their lives past. It dawns on them that they were just labor. They were free labor. They didn't have a career. They got used. They got worked. They got worked by the people that trained them.
Now, can you tell us about Dark Arts Entertainment and what kind of inspired you to make your own promotion?
Well, Dark Arts Entertainment, that's my company, obviously. Mm-hmm. I'm more into I like scary movies. I like horror music, horror punk rock music. I like the big jack scary wrestlers. I like masked monsters, and I like people that are just good at what they do. And so I did things unconventional, just like my career. I did my own thing, where they told me this is how you do A, B, or C to get famous. And I said, well, I don't want to do any of these. I'm going to do it my way. They looked at me like I was an idiot. I've traveled the world, I don't know how many times. Everyone called me an idiot, never left their city, never left their state, or might have traveled 200-300 miles, but that's it. Now, I did the same thing with Dark Arts. I ran it the same way. And my point was I didn't want to use the local guys. It's because one thing about Las Vegas it's an isolated little town with all the same workers. If you go to one wrestling show, you've been to all wrestling shows because you use all the same guys. And I didn't want that. So I made it a point to bring in all my boys from Mexico or Japan or the East Coast or down south, guys that fit the narrative of what I wanted. They were scary, either a scary gimmick like Mecha Wolf, Mil Mortes, Bestia 666, Funny Bone, or just think guys that were like Grizzly Cal Jack coming out, 6'7", 285, all-American collegiate wrestler, original NXT class turned pro wrestler. You know what I mean? Just looks like the epitome of what a real pro wrestler is. Bringing in dudes like that, and as for that kind of, the local kids are like, well, how come you don't book us? It's like, because you've already worked 5 times this weekend in a 10-mile radius. It's nothing new, and I want something new and different, so I'm running it new and different. The kind of, when we'd bring in punk rock bands, or I'd have like Flesh performances, fire breathers, and it was more like a circus, an evil circus.
I gotcha. What do you know now about being a promoter that you wish you knew when you started Dark Arts?
Book for making money, and don't book because they're your friends. And that's the number one problem people run into. Is they would just, wrestlers, they just want to wrestle. You're like, oh, how come you book me? And they'll call, they'll beg, they'll this and they'll that. The problem is, the goal is to make money, and a kid could be trained. Like, I'm trained. I was like, that's cool. Being a trained wrestler is the bare minimum requirement to even be in this business. That's the low-level entry certification, that you're trained. Or it doesn't make you good, are you known? Do you have it following? If I put you on my flyer, and you're not, if you're a Joe Nobody, then nobody, you look like, like you work at, like you do, do stocking at Walmart, stocking the shelves, or you look like you work at McDonald's. I was like, nobody knows who you are. Like, who's going to buy a ticket? So I'm going to put you on my card. You're going to want me to pay you, but you're not going to, your image, your name, and your likeliness isn't going to make me a single dollar. So I'm already going negative. So here's what I do. I put people on the card that are established, or I put people on the card, I bring in outside talent that people want to see from like the Texas or Florida, or just other regions, Mexico. It's like, oh my God, you got this guy coming in? Yes, I do. Or when out in my travels, I find talent, like undiscovered talent, if you will, guys that haven't been noticed yet, or girls that haven't been noticed yet, but they're gonna be, and I know they're gonna be, because they're good wrestlers. They look the part. They have a good gimmick. They wear professional gear. They're professional in the locker room, and it's like, okay, the red eyes are gonna see this guy at some point, or this girl at some point. So we need to, get them in our content immediately, so that way we could say they were a part of our roster, help build a platform to launch stars. And that's what I tried to do. I think even like people like Kid Bandit, when she first started, I was one of the first people to snatch her up and start using her and paying her, or Black Swan. We trained Black Swan, she went and did the AEW stuff, and right now we got M4 as our project. That was another thing too. It's like when we would train people, most schools train like it's a money grab. They want as many heads in there to get as much money as possible, and they'll take anybody, even people that aren't meant to be in the business, people that have no chance of being any good. Just flooding the market with trash talent. They're not bad people. They're just, wrestling is for everybody as a fan, but to be a wrestler, it's not for everybody. And that got lost. So we made it a point when we trained people, we never had more than 3 students, and they were all hand-selected students, and they had to have, the talent, the look, or heart, something, that would make them good, and they were all successful projects.
All right. I think it's time for the SuperBeast's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
You gotta think for a minute. There's been a bunch. Well, give me an example. Like, what kind of story do you want to hear? Like a funny one, a violent one, one that involved the cops, one that involved a getaway car, one that you tell me. Like, it's pro wrestling. It happens more often than not. It's like, what in the hell did I just see? Or what the hell was that?
I mean, whatever you want to show. We've had the most explicit stories told. We've had funny stories told. We had 9 times out of 10 the cops is usually involved. But you know, it's whatever you feel comfortable sharing, I'd say.
I think off the top of my head, as we were driving back from Oklahoma. It was me and my nephew Ian. We just got done wrestling. We stopped outside of Albuquerque at a Waffle House, and I'd been driving for, I don't know, all day, so I'm burnt out. We stopped. We were going to eat and get a hotel room, and so we stopped. We're eating, talking, and my nephew brings it to my attention. He's like, "Hey, man, there's some weird guys looking at the truck." So we look out the window, and there's it's an empty Waffle House. Like, we're like the only people in there. My truck's out in the parking lot. Like, clearly there's two guys, 2 or 3. I think there's 3 guys juiced up on some kind of methamphetamine. I don't know what their deal was. They're like scoping out the truck, kind of looking around. I'm like, what the? Oh, well, it's weird. Then they come walking in. They're in front talking. Then they come inside. One guy sits at the counter. One guy goes walking behind us and sits 2 tables down. And this burnout tweaker dude just comes walking up, talking with some weird story about, "Hey, can I use your phone? Can I use your phone? I need to call my homie." And no. And like, this is like, I'm mid eating my steak and eggs. It's like 3 a.m. I'm tired. And like, clearly these dudes are up to no good. I'm like, "No, man, it's okay." And he said something. He's like, "Would you have any money on you?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "Do you have any money on you?" And I freaked out, grabbed a butter knife, stood up, and I tried to stab him in the neck. And it was like this huge thing that turned into and I was like, "You and this little punk guys are screaming like this bastard behind me." It's like, "Everything I ain't looking at you." And, then like the people at the Waffle House got concerned. And it's like, "You guys just think you're just tweakers, thinking they were geniuses. And really they're just walking right on Front Street." Or another time, like running a show, I've had guys, I've given them an opportunity. I'm like, "Hey, you kids are new, like, you got 10 minutes, go out there and do good." And this is at the CAC, the Cauliflower Alley Club, one of the shows I was running for them. And naturally, these kids went out there and did the exact opposite. They're 18 minutes in, they're not even trying to take it home. They did like 20 finishers. And I just remember I looked over at my buddy Otto, who's one of my boys, and I was like, "Otto, do a run in and get him out of the ring." So my boy Otto just juices in, runs across the near bar, slides in, kind of lights one up. That kid wisened up, rolled out of the ring, and the other guy didn't get it. So he's trying to like fight back. Like, "What are you doing?" So Otto just starts beating the shit out of him in the ring, for being a moron. Just dumb kids. Some kids, like I said, not everybody was meant to be a wrestler. Some motherfuckers just ain't got it. And this was one of those guys that just didn't have it, so he had to get lit up, and they think, what else happened? Oh, then there's like the shit talking online. This is just a funny one, because I had a group of guys in Northern California. They'd, deleted me off their social media and blocked me. And they went on this whole slander thing in front of all 12 of their friends, just comments and, cute jokes and big needle this and, letting shit go. "Oh, he just let everything go to his head, blah, blah, blah." And so me being me, I just, I insulted him back. But when I was given the opportunity, because I'm more direct, during the AAA live press interview, I just started taking jabs out of him in front of 2 countries on a live feed. So maybe all 12 to 15 of their friends got a good laugh. I'd say, I don't know, close to 1,500 of my friends got a bigger laugh. Not to mention whoever else was in on the jokes I was making.
All right, some great stories, to say the least.
Yeah. Those are just off the top. I got a bunch of them. I think I got a couple from Japan. Mexico. Oh, Mexico is a wild one. Like I said, I don't know if you know this, but there's gangs in Mexico.
Oh yeah.
But did you know that there are lucha libre gangs?
Like mob
Like,
with that wear mask?
yeah, I'm talking like you go into the locker room and there's like different cliques of masked luchadors that have problems with each other. So one of these times I'm down there, we're wrestling in Mexico. We're in Mexico City, and I was down there with, I think my girlfriend at the time, Crystal White, and Mecha Wolf was there, and my Spanish wasn't quite good yet. I didn't understand what was going on. I just knew something was. The show was over. We're in the locker room, and words started getting exchanged, and you could see the locker room dividing, with two sides of luchas. I mean, they're putting their masks on, they're talking shit, and all of a sudden they're starting to throw 40 because they drink in the locker room. They got 40s of beer, and they're throwing 40s, breaking bottles, and pulling knives out, and this is getting ready to turning into a thing. Like this is not outside. This is in the locker room. The promoter and everybody had to come and break it up, and one of the cliques went outside and waited out front. And the police showed up, and it was just like, oh man, that was a tad bit, and that was about to get crazy. But all right.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting to say the least.
We got tattoos too. The lucha guys.
Yeah.
There's a certain tattoo you get. Like I have one that I have on my chest. Mecha Wolf has it. Like Damien, Bestia, Black Taurus, Loretto, like we all have like the smart matching tattoos. And when you work, it's so your opponent knows what you belong to.
Interesting.
He knows you're part of like that group. It's like mine's on my chest, so it's got me big jack here. They can just see it on my chest. It's like, oh, that's, he's with that group of luchadors.
Well, speaking of tattoos, is there any other tattoos that have special meaning to you?
No, they're just cool. My favorite one is my skeleton hand, and it's a bear. It's like, it's not everyone's like, that's anatomically not correct. That's not a human skeleton. I'm like, you're right. It's not. It's a bear paw. It's a bear paw. One, because I wanted it. Two, it's kind of like made me think of my other best friend, Grizzly Caljack. He's a big bear. I don't know if you know who he is, Caljack, but he's something else, man. That guy's on another level.
Is there any plans for new tattoos?
Not really. I'm almost 45. And they're not as cool as they used to be.
Okay, I gotcha. Well, maybe this was a cool experience. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you were actually a bodyguard for Chris Brown, no?
Yes, Chris Brown, Ronnie Coleman, Doyle from the Misfits, West Side Guns. Who else was I bodyguarded for? I bodyguarded for a few people.
Who was the most interesting?
Oh, Travis Scott. We did bodyguarding for Travis Scott, which was the worst experience ever. Really? I mean, I love my boss at Century Executive Security. That's my boy Preston. He represents hard, great job. But Travis Scott was a difficult guy to work with.
Really?
Yeah, no, he's a difficult guy to work with.
Who was the best to work for?
Doyle for the Misfits.
Okay. Now, I mean, it feels like it's no secret that, the SuperBeast, is very similar to a real-life Bane. Are you a DC Comics fan?
I'm a huge comic book nerd, and I'm in the online database as the real-life Bane. They have me, actually, I think I posted on my social media. They have they posted my picture, did an article, like we don't know who this guy is, but he's looking like he's training to kill the bat, blah, blah, blah. This is the real-life Bane. And they hit it right on the head, because Bane was my original inspiration for my gimmick. It was that, Mil Mortez, Crossbones, Darth Vader, a lot of different masked villains It's kind of most of them comic book based is where I got my ideas from.
What does that kind of mean to you that, you got acknowledged by DC Comics?
I mean, it made me feel great. See, that's like a life lesson, It's a testament to just how I am in life, It's the same reason like Mil Mortis calls me his little brother now. Like I based my image before I ever knew him. I was like, wow, I want to, that was an inspiration, and meeting him, that's another story too. When I met Ricky Banderas, Mil Mortis, I didn't want to, he was working at the Crash one day and we were there and, I saw him in the merch area, the meet and greet. He had to get stuff set out. And I don't want to be a mark and walk up and be like, oh, hi, I'm the SuperBeast. I'm a huge fan. So I nonchalantly walked around, like the merch tables, look at everybody's stuff, making my way over. And as I got closer to Ricky Banderas, he's looking at his phone. And he kind of looked up at me, looked down, then he looked up at me, looked down, then he looked up and he stared at me. He said, hey, you're the SuperBeast, and I just stopped. And I was just like, oh my God, you know who the hell I am? Or like DC Comics could be like, oh, this is the real life Bane. And that's like something I've inspired, to be like, or, hanging out with Ronnie Coleman, and which is the other one of my idols. It's one of my best friends now. And he'll reference me from time to time, but I could make break the top 100 on masked luchadors on the planet. But I can't go back to America, especially in Northern California or Las Vegas, to get acknowledged for anything by a bunch of people who've accomplished nothing.
If I'm being honest, I think you're winning in this scenario.
Oh, I make more money than all of them. Wrestling's bought me houses, like cars, and all these guys are either they don't have a car. They're struggling in an apartment, but they're like, I'm the next big thing. And I don't know. It's just ridiculous. The problem is that everybody wants to see you do good in those regions. They just don't want to see you do better. Especially when you start becoming a bigger name, a bigger draw, they don't take it well. It hurts their ego, it hurts their feelings or whatever their dilemma is.
Right.
But it's one of those things. Like I've set out to do a lot of things in life, and they work. I haven't met Arnold Schwarzenegger yet. I haven't met The Rock yet. Those are like the two other icons in my life I haven't had a chance to meet. But I got to work with Hulk Hogan once when he did his little vape launch, which I thought was awesome. And I got to be his security guy to walk him out. And out of all the wrestlers that were there for his promo work, I was the only one he wanted to talk to, because I was the only one that looked like a real wrestler.
I mean, that's awesome. Getting, for better or worse, if you like him or hate him, I mean, he's still Hulk Hogan.
But wrestling, I got no problem with him. I mean, he made his mistakes, he said his stuff, and everyone could be like, oh, you support a racist. It's like, well, I mean, no, I don't. I don't support racism. If you look at my dating, I don't want to go, I'm not going to bring it up. It's irrelevant. But if anyone thinks I support racism, could look at my dating history, and that should explain everything.
We're kind of moving back to comics. What's your go-to? Who's your favorite to read?
Ugh, that's hard, man. That's really hard. Because like at home, I have a library. Like I don't just like go to the I buy the omnibuses, like those $200-$300 hardcover full story book, the full thing. I have a library full. But I don't mean I got like 30 books. I have hundreds of books. So even the Berserk, the anime one, I have all the leather-bound books. I think it's hard, man. It's like Wolverine. It was up there, but I mean, I've been reading comics since 1987. I liked Wolverine before anyone knew who Wolverine was, before there was a cartoon or any of that. Now that's everybody's favorite guy, so it's cliche. But I like the Ghost Rider. I like the Punisher. And I definitely like the. So I couldn't put it down to like one, because I've been reading comics my whole life. And there's moments where I've loved all of them. I got a list of top guys that, that are my go-to. even villains. I like Thanos. I thought Carnage was cool. I'm big on Venom. Not too much of a Spider-Man fan, but I love Spawn. A lot of Todd McFarlane books. The Todd McFarlane storyline. We did Image Comics. I was really into that.
All right. Well, I think you're maybe even more hardcore than I am. I like to trade paperbacks, but I think I've yet to have an omnibus.
That's the only way to go, man. You pick up instead of getting the paperback, it's just boom. It's those things get you anywhere from 2 to 4 inches thick.
Yeah.
And it's just comic. That's all. No ads. no. There's no ads. No nothing. It's just the full storyline, issue after issue after issue, every reference. And I have like all the Incredible Hulks, Weapon H, Weapon X, Old Man Logan. Like you name it, I have it.
All right. Now,
even Dracula, Werewolf by Night,
ooh, okay.
Morbius, Man Thing. I have every one of them.
All right. Well, can you tell us about The Last Sunset of the Peaceful Warrior?
That was a movie that was going to be made by my buddy Tom Chismer, but I think they lost funding for it, so it didn't ever actually come to pass. But there was another movie that I did called Grunk the Smasher, which we finished production, and that was back in 2019 before COVID. And it was for a Sacramento-based movie company, a production company, just a small indie company. And I don't know whatever happened. It never came to see the light of day, unfortunately. We devoted a good year into filming it. I was Grunk. I was the barbarian with a giant war hammer and all that stuff. But we never had a chance to see it come to pass. And I think that they lost funding, or I don't know what happened. But it was supposed to be released some years ago. The Peaceful Warrior, we never even started.
Okay, I gotcha.
But Tom Chismer, he's still he's the movie guy. He's a movie producer. He's based out of Las Vegas. He does a lot of movies. He still does some documentaries. He does podcasts for Chris Jericho and stuff like that. But I know he did, what was it? I'm trying to think of the movie. He did another movie. I got a cameo in there as myself as the SuperBeast. Me and Clay, Cal Jack, we got a chance to have a quick little fight scene. And I know, for a lot of his movies, he plans on using me as a reoccurring bad guy.
I mean, that's really cool to have SuperBeast cameos.
Oh, it is. It's definitely cool.
And Grunk the Smasher, hashtag release the Snyder Cut.
Oh, I wish, man. I wish they'd come out. I think the last I heard, they're trying to get it down to 90 minutes. But that was 2 years ago. They told me that, we're almost there. We're editing it down. And, I think one of the directors had some health issues. And
okay.
just post-pandemic with money. And, it's based in California where the economy's impossible. So I think they ran into, there was just a series of, little issues, medium-sized issues, and a couple big issues that slowed it and probably eventually stopped it.
Right. Hopefully it will see the light of day sometime in the future.
Yeah.
I think that's a great segue into the colossal question. Let's say they're making a movie about you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
Probably 9 Inch Nails' Last, Club to Death, which I think is in the Club to Death. It's like a techno song. They used it in The Matrix and a few other things. And probably the SuperBeast by Rob Zombie.
Okay. One more?
That was 3.
Oh.
9 Inch Nails' Last, Club to Death. It's a techno song I forget I might actually, hold on, let me see if I can look that up for you. Yeah, it's Furious Angels, Rob Dugan, Club to Death.
Okay,
That'd be the second one, and the third one would be the Super Beast by Rob Zombie.
perfect. Alright, now that we have the soundtrack down, everybody knows you get the soundtrack first, then you write the script, and then you go to casting. Who plays the Super Beast? And you can't say yourself because you are legally obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Who would I get to play me? Like someone famous or
Anybody you
someone
want.
I know?
Anybody you want.
Anyone.
Living, dead, old, young, CGI's a thing. We won't.
Probably, I think the best right now at this moment, if Jason Momoa gained like 35 pounds of muscle, he would probably be the Super Beast.
Hell yeah. Alright. Now, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you and your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
Just trying to think. That's a hard one because I got to think like which coaches, which inspiration, which training partner, which, who the protagonist is or the antagonist.
Right. I mean, you could say more names than just 3. I just limit it to 3.
It'd be hard. That's a hard one. I don't watch a lot of TV or movies. I'd probably be like the guy that played the Mountain in Game of Thrones.
Okay.
He would have to be a Cal Jack dressed as a bear, just a huge, bigger than life character.
Okay.
I'd have to have like a young Glenn Danzig play Mecha Wolf. A super jacked up, like a young Antonio Banderas if he was taller. It could be Ricky Banderas or Mil Mortis. And like Tyra Banks is Crystal White. I don't want to leave any of my guys out. There's too many people. What's that guy? The actor Idris
Elba.
Idris Elba would have to be Virgil Flynn.
Okay.
And it'd have to be narrated by Morgan Freeman.
Of course.
Yeah, it's probably about the best I could think of off the top of my head.
Well, I mean,
if I sat down and thought about it, I mean, gave it like an hour or two to really go online, look, and dig through my favorite movies, I could probably give you someone to play somebody for everybody in my life.
Well, I mean, as of right now, it's sounding like a great movie, a blockbuster to say the least.
My youngest brother Michael would have to be played by Frank Grillo.
Yes.
Just stuff like that, because my youngest brother down, like he's still in the Army. He's gonna retire soon. He's first group special forces. You could see him. He was on that show Surviving the Cuts, but I think what episode it was, but it was a special forces combat diver. So he's one of those Frank Grillo dudes. It just fits character. And from my dad, even though God bless, he's passed, he's dead. Cheech Marin would have to be my dad.
Hell yeah. Definitely could get behind that.
A biker Cheech Marin, you know.
Okay,
Sean William Scott Stifler would have to be my youngest brother. God, what's that guy? The guy that played Bane? What's his name?
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy, the guy that played Venom. That'd be my brother John Crody. Yeah.
All right. Well, like I said, it sounds fantastic so far. And you could pre-order the tickets now.
I wish.
On to a controversial subject. Pineapple
Yes.
on pizza. What's your stance?
I'll eat it. Don't bother me none. Pineapple with the Canadian bacon and pineapple pizza doesn't bother me.
Okay, so pro pineapple.
Yeah, pineapple on pizza's fine.
Now, we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know
Yeah.
the acronym for Doug? THUG.
Yeah, Thug. Do I know what it means?
The acronym. What does it mean?
Yeah, what the acronym? I don't know.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, 'cause a Doug can't spell. We love the late great Tracy Smothers trying to keep the memory alive on the show.
Good stuff. I like that.
Weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully. Would you ever consider wrestling a rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical rock.
Like a boulder?
I would say it's about the size of a shoe.
If I got paid to do it, you know, if it was in a ring, and I got paid to wrestle a ridiculous rock, and they agreed to my terms to do it, then yes, I would, because business is business. But would I do it for attention or try to go viral? No, I'm busy.
Well, just for context, there is a wrestler named Psycho Mike that indeed wrestled a rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks.
How much money did he make?
That would have to be something you asked Mike.
That's my question right there. That's the only thing I'm curious on. Like how much? I don't care about views. I don't care about going viral. How many followers were acquired? How much money was made? You know, if he did it and he got paid to do it and it was, you know, realistically worth the time, then yeah, all power to him. Heck, hell yeah, brother, get your money. If he didn't make any money and he just went and wrestled a rock, yeah, I'd just tell him, you know, like, hey man, like you need to find, you know, this, you're trying to get attention, you know, you're not trying to get money, you're just trying to get attention.
Well, on a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Probably either here in Mexico or Manila. In 5 years, I'll be 50 years old. You know, I've already had 2 biceps. Both my biceps have been torn and reattached. I've had my knee completely blown out and rebuilt, and I've tore my quad on my other leg back in October at JCW, and I'm just recovering from that. So in another 5 years, you know, I'll probably just be a coach. I don't see myself wrestling. Just father time. I'll be due to injury, age, and time. You know, father time always wins, and you know, even SuperBeast or not, it doesn't matter how healthy I am or how many workouts I do, or if I go get more stem cells or take this supplement, that supplement, anti-age, whatever. Father time eventually wins. And I'm more on I'm on the backside of my career than I am beginning it. You know, I'm not even at I'm well past the halfway mark. Like I'm on the other side of the hill on my way down. So 5 years from now, hopefully I'll have left my mark. I know my gear, my Lucha Libre gear, will be in the Lucha Libre Museum in Tijuana, which is the biggest Lucha Libre museum on the planet. I'll be there. I'll be in the Japanese history books in wrestling. I'll be in the history books of the Philippines wrestling. And I probably will barely, if not ever, mentioned at all in America.
All right. Well, since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Okay.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
I believe so.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
That I know personally, or just what I think is the greatest wrestler of all time?
However you want to answer the question.
Well, if I had to say the best wrestler of all time is Ric Flair. Just because the guy stayed on the road, damn near 20 years straight in a different city, in a different state every night, and did his part to put, if there wasn't a Ric Flair, I don't think there really would have been a Hulk Hogan. It was like the predecessor. So in my opinion, Ric Flair, his ability to work the crowd, he didn't go, and try to be the face, the people's champion. He went around being an asshole, and he got over doing it. And I thought it was hilarious. He brought a level of being a heel that had not been really seen before. I mean, you had Buddy Rogers, who was a nature boy, but when you were high flying, jet flying, limousine riding, my shoes cost more than your house, motherfucker, and you let everybody know, I got all the ladies, I got all the money. Here's the $100 tip. Just get me a beer. Just the cocky, conceited. You loved him, but you hated him, but you hated him. You loved him. And the way he would sell was just, he put people over. He traveled the country, making every champion from every region, from every territory look like money. He elevated people. He didn't just elevate himself. He didn't elevate wrestling. He elevated other wrestlers. A lot of careers were built off of Ric Flair and his work. So in my opinion, I would say Ric Flair.
Worst wrestler.
Worst wrestler? Ooh. I forget the guy's name, but he's some stupid clown from Northern California. It's just a total atrocity. He couldn't wrestle. He would just go in the ring and scream a lot. And then he would just try to screw everybody's old lady after the show, and he would spread herpes. And would always get caught cheating on his wife. I think his name was Shane Dipshit or Shane, no one ever heard of him.
Okay.
Dude was just a total atrocity, just a human atrocity. And just an embarrassment to himself, an embarrassment to the business. And he was delusional, in his mind. He thought I've influenced generations of wrestlers. He'd been around for a while, I'll give him that. But one thing about wrestling, it's not the union. It's a performance-based job, not a union-based one. And what I mean by that is no one gives a shit how long you've been in the business. No one gives a shit how long you've been standing around. You don't get seniority. You don't get extra. Just because you've been standing around for 20-plus years doesn't make you the man. It's accolades, accomplishments, successes. Where have you been? What have you done? How much money have you drawn? What top talents have you worked with? What big companies have you worked with? If you're a guy who never left Northern California with less, barely 200-300 followers, and you've been around for 20-something years, and you've eaten so much drugs and turned your brain into mush that you believe your own bullshit, and you suck in the ring, and the guy would just scream. He would really stand in the ring and scream. And I kind of know his name. I want to say his name, but I don't even want to give him that acknowledgement. But I'm just going to call him a waste of space, waste of locker room bear, and just a walking embarrassment of an atrocity of a wrestler.
And I will accept that answer.
Cool.
Your main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
The Rock.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
The Undertaker's. The original Undertaker, not like old school when he was like the Undertaker, like he dealt with dead people. He was the mortician Undertaker.
Okay, so classic Undertaker.
Classic Undertaker.
Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
Dead.
We would have also accepted taste great on toast. Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
It's definitely a vegetable, not a fruit. Well, is it? No, it does have. The squash does have seeds, doesn't it? Squash has seeds in it. It's technically, I think that makes it a fruit.
Is that your final answer?
It is my final answer. Because vegetables don't produce seeds, only fruits do.
And you would be correct. It is indeed a fruit. New Japan wrestler Taichi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
For a dude, I mean, they kind of got to meet right where the hamstring meets the butt cheek. Because if they go up past the lower curve of the butt cheek, they're just short shorts, and you're showing too much ass. Like, I've had gear makers make me trunks where I put them on, and I got like an inch of my butt cheek coming out. It's like, dude, I'm not like some broad going to the club trying to get that attention. I'm a dude. Like, I'm not trying to put my ass on Front Street like that. Like, they should go right to the crease of the quad, or not right to the crease of the hamstring and butt cheek.
Okay.
I mean, if anything, they could go further down, but they should never go further up.
Okay, gotcha.
That's just me. I mean, there's some wrestlers that, I know there's a lot of Pride style wrestlers that like the G strings, and that's them, that's their life, that's what they're into. Hey, no judgment. But me being me, I want my trunks to end. I want them to go no higher than the crease between my hamstring and my butt cheek.
And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
Sometimes it gets brought up. And whether it be a supermarket or a restaurant, people are you a wrestler, blah, 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 AEW. Doesn't that hurt your body? And like I've met Darby Allin a handful of times because he's from California too, and normally it's just brought up as I don't know how he still walks, because that dude's body. Like I've seen some of the stuff like Brian Cage, who's another one of my good buds. We're both from Northern California. We both moved to Las Vegas. We've trained together. We've wrestled each other, whatnot. But I'm out of the ring, and he lands just taking the most crazy bumps, and that's just like just throw that out. He's younger than me, and it's like I don't know how much his body sustains so much. He has to hurt.
All right, so you indeed had a...
God bless his soul. Crazy. There has to be a crazy guy. Huh?
All right, so you indeed had a conversation about Darby Allin in a supermarket.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the conversation's always like, if I did what Darby Allin did, I would have been done in 2 years. I would probably be on a walker. The fact that he still gets up, walks, runs, jumps is like amazing to me. And these are my conversations in the supermarket or a restaurant or wherever his name gets brought up. It's like, he's one of those guys I wonder if he's even human. He might be one of those reptilian people the aliens or whatever we're always hearing about that live among us, because that guy just doesn't die. His body doesn't break. He just gets lands on his neck weird. Hits the aluminum steps on the way down just to get up, to get cracked in the head with the chair, to get gorilla pressed into the ring post and land on his head again. And then that's followed by something else. He'll climb on something crazy, 30, 40 feet in the air, jump, kind of hit its people. They'll kind of catch him, or they'll miss him. They won't catch him right, and he's landing on his shoulder and his neck, and looks like his back folded the wrong way. It's like he's Gumby. His butt is like his limbs are rubber. Like, he just doesn't break. It's, I don't know if to question him or to be scared of him or whatever, because there's something about that human or that superhuman or that alien or, lizard creature or whatever he is, man. But that guy's, like, he's a walking anomaly. If he's around, like you asked me, in 5 years, I'm going to be old, broken, and done. If Darby Allin is still around in 5 years, someone needs to see if he's even human, or if he's just, a cyborg or something.
All right. And that is indeed the correct answer.
Thank you.
And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
No problem. Hopefully I didn't let you down and I delivered for you.
Oh, the SuperBeast absolutely delivers. Once again...
No, thank you. I tried.
Can you tell us where we can find you on social media and your promotion on social media as well?
On Instagram, it's Chris Le Superbestia Crody, Kris, Le Superbestia, like Spanish, and Krody, or just I am the SuperBeast. Actually, yeah, on Instagram, it's I am the SuperBeast. And then Dark Arts Entertainment, we have a YouTube channel, and we have a Roku channel, the Roku app you could get on your Roku TV or device. And I'm on, Facebook, Chris Le Superbestia Crody, Chris with the K, Crody with the K, or just put La Superbestia, Spanish for the Super Beast.
All right, and where can we find merchandise as well?
Huh?
Where can we find merchandise?
Oh, merchandise? Come to a show. Or contact me directly.
Okay. And you don't even have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox, simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. If you're in Las Vegas, buy a damn ticket, and also buy a damn shirt as well.
That's if I'm in Las Vegas. I live in Mexico.
Well, I mean, DM him for merchandise.
Yeah, I definitely live in Mexico. Like, way down in Mexico. My next place I'm going to live is the Philippines. Now, I own a house in Las Vegas. My family stays there, and I got my room. It's my house. My stepson lives there. My nephew lives there. My ex-wife lives there. And, yeah, I live out here in other countries. I just keep bouncing around the world, coaching, wrestling, and training, and being the best version of me I can.
Right. So buy a ticket for Dark Arts, and get merchandise directly from the SuperBeast.
The next Dark Arts show's in Lawton, Oklahoma, April 3rd. It's Scooters, CW Scooters, Country Western Nightclub. Come see us.
Perfect. And, of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, both on YouTube and Castbox. This is sponsored by Rogue Energy and Play On One Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews, and follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on X, Dread, and Instagram. And you can follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, when I say wrestling with, you say entertainment, okay?
Okay.
For our special guest, the SuperBeast, Calico Yacht, Scooter Dust. I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.